student yourself resonates with everyone present here. I now take the pleasure of introducing our guest of honor today, Professor Lakshmi ma'am. Professor Lakshmi ma'am is a distinguished Professor Emeritus at the Dr.B.R.Ambedkar College of Law, Andhra University, where she served since 1990, a remarkable academic journey spanning over 3 decades. She received her LLM and PhD from Andhra University and over the years has received several honors including the Best Researcher Award and the prestigious Parinarayana Sastry Gold Medal Award for her thesis. As a mentor and guide, she has supervised a significant number of doctoral dissertations as well. Her membership in leading professional bodies such as the Indian Law Institute and Indian Society of International Law reflects her deep engagement with legal scholarship and public policy. I now request Lakshmi ma'am to address the gathering.
Sri Tuhin ji, Sinha ji, and my great friend Professor Sumitra. Let me extend my warm greetings on the happy occasion of this day, November 26th, which is Constitutional Day. And of course, my pleasure of greeting on this happy occasion was incomplete unless I extend my wish to all the faculty members, scholars, students, and even the supporting staff. Friends, throughout the year, we keep celebrating number of days on various occasions, and most of the days we celebrate them as a matter of joy. There are very few days which celebrate not just as matters as an event of joy, but rather as an event of great pride. Very few occasions, very few days would give this opportunity. So this day is one such opportunity where we rejoice in great pride, because this is the day on which the Indian Constitution has become functional and has been adopted, and adoption of Constitution is the ultimate demonstration of self-identity for any country. As United Nations, in the context of issuing certain guidelines, certain principles relating to adoption of Constitution, it made one statement. That is, it said that this is something adoption of a constitution revolves, or it centers around the idea of national ownership. So it is that is the proud position which we have, and we are enjoying the fruits of adoption of our constitution with rich values. So therefore we have every reason to take great pride in this. It says, when we look at our constitution, we would say that it's a sweet fruit of a very long struggle for independence. When I say that this is a demonstration of our self-identity, this self-identity for our country, it has not just come, it did not happen in one day or 2 days. It had taken years together, where many people have struggled hard to gain this independence. There were some heroes who could make their mark, who could get their recognition, but there are many unsung heroes as well. But whatever it is, we living in this era, we have been living on the struggles made by various heroes, freedom struggle heroes, and we are enjoying the fruits of it. Now, I would like to bring to your notice just 2 aspects. One thing is, we have drafted this constitution way back in 1947, 76 years have passed, and United Nations had come out, it has enlisted a set of principles. United Nations, whose mission is to maintain international peace and security, it has come out with a set of principles which are expected to be imbibed in any constitution, because it has, in its opinion, having a national constitution, it has seen the link between maintenance of peace and a nation having its own constitution to go by. Because when we say that we have our constitution, as we know, constitution is something which imbibes in it our assertions and great many aspirations. 76 years we have had a great journey, I would say that. No doubt there would be certain occasions where one might feel a little disappointed about state of affairs. That would always be there in any human history. But we would say that we have the kind of a constitution which is very, very resilient in its character. And one solid point that we have to observe is the background in which our constitution has adopted. No doubt I say that this is the outcome of national struggle for independence. But our national struggle for independence has got a very unique character, which we are all aware. It is the result of non-violence movement. Many countries do adopt constitution. Many countries have achieved their self-identity by virtue of revolutions. But ours is no less stronger than that of a revolution. It has much more value in the sense that it is something which we get by peaceful means and methods. And I happened to come across one research finding where I heard from some other university. The point that was the finding that came out of that research was those countries who have gained their independence by virtue of revolution and those countries who have achieved their independence in non-violent means, those countries, all of them having adopted constitutions, the countries which has got their self-identity by virtue of these peaceful movements, they remain to be very, very resilient societies when compared to those nations which have gained their independence by virtue of revolutionary movements which involve lot of violence. So this is a very standing feature that we have to observe, and our constitution is something, it contains such features that by utilizing, by adopting or by adhering to the spirit of constitution, peace is something that would be having its evergreen relevance. This is one aspect I want to bring to your notice. And having said that, I will just quickly go through some of the principles which are narrated by the United Nations with reference to the Constitution. Now it said that it speaks about, it describes Constitution as foundation of governance and law. Yes, of course, our Constitution does reflect that very much. And therefore, it says that it is the supreme law of the land. And United Nations in its report, it just made one observation. It said, this is a constitution which is based upon the premise of democracy. And any constitution which demised on the notion of or on the proposition of democracy is something, when we talk about the legitimacy, if you remember, I think if you can recollect the Kelson's, he talks about Brumna, and after reaching this Brumna, he says no more further questions about the legitimacy, what is the source of its authority. And United Nations in some statement, it said that you're starting your exercise on the premise of democracy, that is a source of legitimacy. And so therefore, that is one strong feature which we have. And of course, we do have given lot of importance to human rights. United Nations, it speaks about protection of human rights. Space for protection of human rights is a must for Constitution. And then it speaks about legitimacy, fostering inclusivity and participation. This is also one of the recommendations that had come from the United Nations, that in the making of this Constitution, because from 2009 onwards, United Nations has been assisting a lot in the designing of Constitution by those countries who have become independent and those countries who are still in an unstable condition. So it has been rendering its assistance. It is in that process it has come out with these guidelines. And in this context, again one statement which has come is, exact statement I am giving. In India, proportional representation of minorities in the Constituent Assembly in the very beginning, which was, it has succeeded in enacting inclusive provisions in the Constitution of India, provisions that were later extended over time. And saying that, it made this observation. The constitution building that includes and permits the participation of all legitimate groups, actors and stakeholders is more likely to result in institutional choices that strengthen rather than weaken the democratization. It talks about the strength of Indian constitution in this inclusive feature and saying that it is something like it illustrates that when the approach is an inclusive approach, it's a matter of strength rather than it's a matter of weakness. So this again is a close observation, a crucial observation that has come from the United Nations. And further, it also spoke about the necessity that it's also something like you also have to go by the principle of sustainable development. And I feel that constitution, when we observe on the whole, there is a lot of space for that would cater the goal of sustainable development. So these are my observations, taking into consideration the principles that were suggested by the United Nations, and I felt very proud that all the features which were supposed to be ideal principles to be included in the drafting of any constitution, we find those principles already included way back in the year 1947. So obviously, friends, I feel definitely this is a matter of great pride to us, and it's not just a matter of having some pride, but it's important that if we have to continue that sense of pride, we should also remember that the future generations also will have to have the pleasure of having this kind of a pride. So a lot depends upon how we conduct ourselves. Question of, there are a set of fundamental duties inscribed in our Indian Constitution. Each principle has got a great weightage. It speaks about the necessity of understanding the spirit of freedom struggle. So while we are enjoying the independence, the distorted way of understanding what is independence, that is a troublesome thing that we have to bear in mind. So we have to remember that Constitution has an essential spirit, and it's not just about praising or appreciating Constitution. Most important is how we conduct ourselves in abidance to this Indian Constitution. Strengthen the Indian Constitution much further. A lot hopes are to be placed on the youngsters like you. So there is always this present, we always observe that the present generations, they are very smart, they are very intelligent, but then it's very important that it's not just about smartness or intelligence, it's also more about the willingness to be wise enough. Utilizing one of the fundamental duties is that you have to have what is called a scientific temperament, but at the same time, the duty also, fundamental duty also says that it has to be with the spirit of humanity. So we cannot be losing the spirit of humanity. We have to understand that the value of Indian Constitution, the value of rule of law, as our chief guest has been rightly suggesting you and giving you practical suggestions, small things, how you deal with your own affairs. We are not doing anything bigger things like our forefathers have done. To see that all of us, we enjoy independence. The thing is that how responsible we are in managing our independence. Responsibility is more important than anything. That is what gives a solid future to our country, and that is what gives, it's a real tribute, or it's a real appreciation that we can give to our Indian Constitution. Thank you, friends.